Hey everyone, so it's that time of year once again where I do my garden tour. So it's July. I'm in Florida Zone 9B, and this is my third annual garden tour. And so once again, I'm gonna walk through my yard and talk about my plants. But anyways, I'm gonna start out here in the front yard once again, and right in front of me is my Suriname cherry. Um, Now this was actually much bigger a couple weeks ago, but I kind of went psycho on this thing and cut off a lot of it. Its branches pruned it too much. It had a lot of foliage and was kind of difficult to mow under, so went ahead and pruned it back heavily. Probably took off way too much, but anyhow, it still will be productive next year. But right behind it are like 4 volunteer Suriname cherries, and actually they're starting to produce. So I'm not lacking in the way of Suriname cherries. And one thing I've discovered just last summer, so this will produce through your warm months, and so it'll produce like in the in the spring, and then maybe sometimes again in the summer. And what I found is the spring the cherries are good. The summer, because of the pest pressure, you actually will find worms or like a little maggot, a larvae inside the cherry. So just something to be mindful of if you're picking the cherries in the middle of summer. So this pineapple here and the one over here in the front, both of them were very small. So actually I'll pull this back and just show you. So these are way smaller than I'm usually used to producing. So not sure why it is that these two up here were on the smaller side. I don't think it has anything to do with the shade, because I've grown decent sized pineapples in the shade before. So if you know why that may be, why these were so small, you can throw something in the comments. And so right here's my Grumichama. This debuted last year for the first time. It's put out more foliage. It did have a flower on it, but it didn't fruit. So, but it's healthy. It's got good color to it, and it's growing. So I'm sure it'll fruit for me down the road. Now, if you subscribe to my channel, I do a wide variety of videos. I'm kind of all over the place, but this is actually what I like to do best is gardening. If you're into crepe myrtles, I've got a project going on. I'm doing a video on grafting onto crepe myrtles. If you subscribe to my channel, you'll be able to catch that whenever that comes out. I hope to have that done in a couple weeks, maybe at the end of summer. So I'm going to go on back to the backyard. So here I am in the front of my backyard, and just got a little area. So this has changed quite a bit over the last couple of years. I did have a lot of cranberry hibiscus in here. I only have a couple of them in here now. And cranberry hibiscus can be very vigorous and overtake. But I've kind of just let things kind of self-select in here. And so I've had things like blueberries and Mysore raspberries in here, but they kind of died back. Blueberries, I've seen in other videos for people in the same area. They don't seem to do well in this wood chip type food forest setting. I've grown them just by themselves, and I'll probably do that at some point, but I won't try to incorporate blueberries. Now, if there's a variety out there that'll work for this type of situation, you can throw that in the comments, because I'm definitely looking for something that's easy to grow, something I can integrate in with everything else. The Mysore raspberries I've seen in the Florida Food Forest Facebook group, others having a lot of success with Mysore raspberries, them being very productive and producing very tasty fruit. But mine just died off and didn't really produce anything at all. So I'm gonna probably give Mysore raspberries another shot at some point. But those are things that have died back in here. So right here in the front, this was a little papaya that was a volunteer. It produced for me last year. It seems to be having some trouble this year. And so I got some fruit off of it. Now these are papaya from seed. Papaya from seed doesn't really taste that great, but we use it as a base for our smoothies, so we'll cut it up and freeze it, and we'll have it in our smoothies. So, but this one, not as productive as our one in the back. You can see the cactus right there. That's a Nepali cactus. So we'll wait till that gets more pads on it, and we'll be able to eat the pads on that. You're supposed to be able to fry that up. So right here, you see this little citrus tree. That's from seed that I started, and looks like it's got a little bit of some type of pest damage there on some of the leaves, so I'll have to pick off. But this is from seed, and I found it, the seed, in like the little tangerines that you get from the store. They typically don't have seeds in them, but so every now and then you do find them, and so was able to get those seeds to start. The fruit, however, probably is not going to taste like the parent, so we'll see what happens, see if these are something that it's you know, we'll just see how they turn out, and if they don't turn out well, then I'll just graft onto this, so it'll be a rootstock for me. Here's a little plant. So I'm always planting seeds, and I was weeding this the other day, and I was afraid to pull this because I haven't seen a weed like that. So if anybody recognizes this leaf right here, you know, what type of sapling this is, you know, throw it in the comments, because I'm not sure if it's just another weed or if it's something I planted. I plant stuff, and I'll throw some seeds down and I'll forget what it is, so, or where I planted it. So I have another pineapple right here that I'm hiding with some odorific weeds. Now again, if you subscribe to my channel, I'm going to be doing a video, or I am working on a video on, so this is a fig right here. And so figs do not do well in Central Florida because of the root knot nematode. The root knot nematode gets into the roots and then siphons off nutrients, so they don't produce. So see how this looks kind of scraggly. So what I'm going to do, so the fig is in a ficus tree family, so I'm grafting this fig onto that ficus tree. I also am grafting it on to that fiddle leaf fig, so kind of hard to spot, but I'm using the approach graft technique to graft onto these, and so I'm gonna do a whole video on that. That probably won't be out till next year. We'll see if this, by grafting these on, if that gives this fig tree a good root stock and makes it productive in this region. Back there I have a pomegranate. Pomegranate's like the fig in that it's a desert plant, and not productive. You can see it has some blossoms on it, but those blossoms typically fall off. There are varieties that do better here in the humidity, so I'll probably try to incorporate some of those into my garden when I get my hands on some. So interesting thing, so this is my mango tree, and so mangoes in this area, so we've had 2 mild winters in a row, and so if you know how to spot a mango tree, driving around the area, you may have noticed that because of those 2 mild winters, we had all of our mango trees producing, and that's not normal for the Tampa Bay area. But our trees were covered with mangoes. So this one is from seed. It's probably about 4 or 5 years old. It's just been a very vigorous grower. I mean, I planted this thing at like 6 inches tall. And I happened to get I got one mango on it. So let's see if I can spot that. Let's see here, trying to find it. Oh, there it is. Okay, so yeah, you may have spotted it already. But yeah, that's my one little mango off this thing. So I'm watching it like a hawk. I don't want anything to get it. I want to be able to get it before anything else does. So pretty happy about that, and we'll see how productive this is for us in the future. Because it is from seed, I have no idea what it's going to taste like, but I'm sure it'll be fine. Now right here, so I've already harvested this pineapple that was on this plant. So if you notice, this pineapple plant has got some really broad leaves, and I noticed that it was much bigger than my other plants. So I figured this is probably going to produce a really big pineapple, and sure enough it did. So the pineapple I pulled off of this thing was just as big as any one that you could buy from the store. And typically, you know, our pineapples are smaller than what you get from the store. As you can see, it's producing a lot of little pups, and I'll plant those, and those will probably grow some big pineapples as well. So right here is my dwarf Barbados cherry. So Barbados cherry, the dwarf Barbados cherry doesn't really have much flavor, but it is a great source of vitamin C. So I'll come over here and get a handful of these when it's producing, and it'll produce multiple times during the warmer months. So I'll get a handful of them and get my vitamin C fix. There's some pineapples, my Turkish cap hibiscus hedge, and we'll head around this to my bananas.